How do you view what China has done in India's immediate neighborhood? And sort of, what are India's, I would say, options to maybe not sort of maybe counter what China is doing, and sort of, should India be concerned about China being so deeply integrated in the neighborhood?
Yes, of course. The question to ask is, why is China doing it? Why is China interested in the subcontinent and the Indian Ocean? And I think that answer for all of us is very clear. First is to confine India into the subcontinent. It has used Pakistan for a very long time for that purpose. It is now using in greater measure the northern border to actually keep us engaged there. Because the greater concern for China is about what geography has bestowed to India, India's peninsula jutting out as a knife into the Indian Ocean. And that's a matter of concern. And that is why China seeks to influence any country which it can, and it has the wherewithal to do it. And unlike military power, it can buy, which it does, through debt diplomacy mostly. And that's how it's been able to actually get into most of these countries using its economic power. And also the fact that after all our neighbors would like to benefit from both sides. So they play the game accordingly. So we understand that. But we also understand that, except of course, Pakistan belongs to a different basket altogether. All the other countries have got a certain level of relations with India, which they cannot really, will not easily like to actually weaken, because it will have certain costs. And I think therefore, if you look at what India is, how it's dealing with its neighbors, and it goes up and down, and now the most problematic and new guy on the scene on the Chinese stage is Nepal, with Oli in charge. But we don't take it as a given and something which we cannot roll back. So I think we have the capacity to at least ensure what is our most, what he called, dangerous threat, that the Chinese use these as bases against us. That is a red line. And I think in many ways it would have been conveyed to all these countries. And I don't think any country would possibly be interested in actually letting that happen. Because bases can be, a military base would involve not only military infrastructure, it would also have a communication, eavesdropping, a whole lot of things which can be there. But I think we have the capacity to know when that happens, so we can't easily be cheated on it. So that's one point. The second point is about the basis which it seeks in terms of supporting its naval capability. Well, let's be very clear that the Chinese mainland is located quite far from the Indian Ocean. It requires these bases to be effective in maritime terms. And that capability will always be judged by the ability to actually have these bases which can cater for your ammunition, which is logistics, maintenance, repair. All these modern vessels are high maintenance stuff. You can't just put them into the Indian Ocean and actually allow them to be there for a long time. So the restrictive number of bases it can do in the next 10 years. And Hambantota, I think we should be very clear, the people put it in the same category as Gwadar and Djibouti. I don't think Hambantota is in that category, for the simple reason that India is very clear it will not make that happen. And I don't think the Sri Lankans really have any idea of making it happen. Even Djibouti. Djibouti, after all, is a very interesting place because there are a lot of nations actually having their bases there. So if push comes to shove, as you Americans call it, I don't see the Americans letting the Chinese move out from that base. I mean, by any stretch of imagination. And Gwadar, being a singular base, it will not be easy to tackle. So the idea that China is, of course, stretching itself and it will try to continue to do so. We understand why it is doing so. But I think we have the wherewithal to actually counter that. And overall, what it tells us is that India international cooperation lies in the realm of the maritime domain. We know for certain that nobody is going to come and fight for us in the northern border. We are very clear. Yeah, we need the wherewithal, and that's why when you see these Chinooks, which has been shown very often on Indian TV, it sort of signifies American presence in the Himalayas. And there is more to it than just the Chinooks, let me tell you that. There's the C-130s, the C-17s, they're all there. So, but the real cooperation, and that I think is a realization which the Indian political leadership and its military leadership is very aware of, is in the domain of the maritime. Because the fact that we need to at least cooperate to make sure that this guy who says and wants to bully everybody in sight has to be shown its place can only be done through cooperation. India nor United States should even try to do it alone for all that measure. So I think there is a very strong case here for actually deepening the cooperation. How that cooperation spans out, in what manner you want to call it, in what name you want to give it, what label that you want to do, whether you don't want to outrightly say that this is not against China, and everybody knows that it is. It's international hypocrisy, which everybody knows. So the fact is, that's diplomacy, and I'm sure the diplomats will always find a way around it. So I think what the present situation especially has triggered is a greater sense within India itself that we can no longer actually sit in comfort and expect that others will do their job, we will do ours, and everything be together. I think there is a heightened sense that we need to cooperate, and I think there is a lot of common interest involved here. And I think I sense the larger shift, not only even in the public, but I think in all levels of leadership. We might argue whether it is what do we want to call these relationships. And I think the strategic partnership label has enough flexibility for us to actually do things together and yet not be seen to be the same, because we need to maintain a separateness. And I always described it that we need to actually expand the tents in which we sit with our friends. We don't have to be in anybody. We don't have to pitch the tent in a camp, but we can sit in many tents. So I think we are concerned. And of course, we know what the realities are. But as far as the maritime space is concerned, and even the subcontinent is concerned, we need deepened cooperation. That there is no doubt.